Hey, this is Andy Brown. In this video, I want to take a look at WebUI. So WebUI, I believe it's called WebUI. If it's not, we'll find out what it is. Maybe it's called Open WebUI. And so I'm told that this thing allows us to have a friendly chat UI interface that we can use with Ollama or stuff like that. And this is probably a great idea if we can get this working, because if you have a decent CPU or GPU, and let's say ChatGPT is down or Claude is down, you can use OpenAI models or OpenAI models, open source models to get something similar. So this is something I would like to try out. And if it works out, of course, I'll include it. So if you're watching this video, then that's the case. But it seems like it's very easy to install. It says Open WebUI. So we have pip install Open WebUI, and then we serve it. If it's that simple, that'd be great. We could also run it as a Docker container. I do like running things as Docker containers. So it says if Ollama is on your computer, it is. If Ollama is on a different computer, we can do that. So the question is, what should we do? Should we run it this way or that way? I kind of like the idea of running it as a Docker container. So I think I'm going to do that here today. I do believe that Docker is installed on this computer. If it's not, we should install it. But let me take a look here. So I'm going to type in clear. Do we have Docker on this? We do not. So I'm going to go ahead and type it install. So sudo snap install Docker. And I'm not sure what the password is, but maybe that's the password. And so I'm going to install Docker, and we're going to see if we can run this within WSL. If we can, that'd be great. All right, so supposedly that is now installed. I'm going to go over to here, and I'm going to grab this one here. And we're going to go make our way back over to here. I'm going to paste this in here. And so we have denied because we have Docker installed, but I guess we need sudo for it. I actually don't like it when it's installed with sudo, but since I use sudo snap to install, I'm not exactly sure how to fix that. So I'm just going to type in sudo, and this will probably still work, but it's not exactly the way I'd like to do it. And so now it's pulling the image. At some point, I will go figure out how to use Docker without sudo. If it was a manual install, I would absolutely know how to fix that, but not with sudo snap. And so we will pull this Docker container, and we'll just wait a little bit here. All right, so that's now pulled. Now it's not running per se. I thought maybe it would just run as we did it there. So we're going to grab this one more time. We actually aren't running. Are we running Ollama right now? It is running. Okay, so make sure that it's open. And I'm going to go ahead and paste this in. I'm not sure if it's going to work from here, but we have, again, it's the that issue there. So I'll type in sudo. And it says already in use. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's running in the background. Okay, so I'm going to do docker ps. Sudo docker ps. That's going to drive me crazy. How can we use Docker without sudo? Because I'm not going to stand for that. And really depends on how we've installed it. It's Docker D. It's something like this. So like Docker user group. Yeah. I do have instructions. Yeah, so to run a Docker command without sudo, you need to add your user who has root privileges to the Docker group. Okay, well, let's just try that. Maybe that will fix our problem, because that'd be a lot nicer to do that. Yeah, because I use sudo snap, I kind of regret installing it that way. I might end up uninstalling Docker just so that it's done correctly, but for now it is running. So we say sudo docker ps, and it says it's running on port 8080 or it's port 3000. We'll find out here in just a moment. So let's try 8080 first. If it's not, then it's port 3000. I can never remember what direction it goes in. It's never very clear. Yeah, see, I would have thought it would have been port 8080, because it's like 3000 to 8080, but really it's 3000 goes to port 8080. And so here we are in our environment. It's very interesting. Get started with Open WebUI. Open WebUI does not make any external connections, and your data securely stays here. Okay, so I assume I'm creating one locally. I'm not sure why I have to enter a password in. Okay, but I'm going to do a very simple password for this. And yeah, I'm not sure if it sends any data out, but anyway, we have it here. And so now we have this. And there are no models here. So I think maybe if we say like hello, it's probably not going to work. Let's try this because there's no model selected, right? So in order for this to work, we're going to have to add a model. But you can see we don't have any models. And as we press plus, it's getting confused. So let's open terminal here. And let's install a model. So say Ollama. I kind of forget what it is. We'll go here, Ollama. And maybe it's like Ollama pull. Ollama pull. I think that's what it is. Pull. Llama 3.21b. I'm really just guessing here. Nope, that's not it. I mean, Gemma's supposed to be pretty good. Maybe we'll try to pull the 2 billion parameter one of Gemma. I just want to pull it. I don't want to run it. So we'll go ahead and pull it like that. And so we'll wait for that to download. Be back in just a moment. All right, so we've downloaded a particular model. I'm going to go back over to our WebUI interface. Again, don't have much experience with this, but we're going to find out, does it show up? Okay, so if I drop down, it doesn't see the Ollama model. Now, I'm not sure if it's because I'm in WSL in a Docker container and it's just not aware of it on that network. So that's a good question. Yeah, I'm not sure. That seems like a very hard thing for it to figure out. So I think maybe what I would do, I'm going to sign out of here. I'm going to try to run it the other way because this is running, well, yeah, because this is running right now in WSL. And if we type in Ollama, like Ollama is not accessible here. And so I have it on the exterior. So it really depends. Like, do I want it on the exterior or in the interior? Because otherwise it's not going to know what it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to here. I'm going to say Ollama remove Gemma to 2 billion. Ollama, let's see here. Ollama Gemma to 2B. Okay. And so now I have nothing in Ollama there, but I'm going to install Ollama on this side. So say sudo snap install. Because that's all I can really think of is the fact that it doesn't know of Ollama on the Windows side and in WSL. This is where like networking becomes really important. I was just working with Tim, and in the bootcamp you'll see Tim as we worked on a project, but his background's more networking and my background's more development, and I feel like for him this is like nothing to figure out, but for me it's very challenging. Also, Baco would probably have an easy time with it. But we'll pull down this in a moment. Okay, there we go. So now Ollama's installed. So we'll say Ollama pull on this side. This one here. Ollama pull. Maybe the other issue is that it's not running, but I'm hoping that if it's aware of Ollama, that it should be able to know of models that are there, not necessarily whether they're running, and that it would start them up. But this is pulling pretty quick, so it's not that bad. Okay, so it's almost done there. All right, so we pulled the model. Let's go back over to localhost again. And maybe it just has to be running because, we don't have those exact instructions. So I'll go log in here. Yeah, I think it's just like local server. So maybe like if you had a bunch of people, that want to use it. So again, it's not running here. So I'll go ahead and we'll say Ollama. Let's sit up here and I'll just say run. But yeah, maybe WebUI is good if like you have a network of like you have local compute and you have a local network that you want to serve. And maybe that's something that could be there. Let's go give this a refresh here. Okay, so I still don't. I still don't see it. Okay, let's give it a read. So Open WebUI can be installed with pip Python package manager. Before proceeding, ensure you're using Python 3.11 to avoid compatibility issues. If Olama is on your computer, use this command. Installing OpenAI with bundled Olama support. With Olama, allowing for a streamlined setup with a single command. Okay. So here, we ran this one. And it's using the -d flag. That's how we know it's running still. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this tab open. But I'm going to go into another one here, and we'll do Docker ps, sudo docker ps. I really regret installing it via that. Now I have to do that every single time. And I want to stop this container. So say docker, I already forgot what the command is. Docker kill. I forgot. Oh, no, it is. Maybe it's kill hyphen. No, that's not it. Docker ps docker, or sorry, sudo docker. It is kill. Okay, it is kill. Okay, so sudo docker kill. And so now that should stop not running anymore. So we'll do this and say docker ps. And it's not running anymore, so that's perfect. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll go back over to here into our instructions. And I want similar command here. I just don't want the -d because I want to have control to stop and start this, so my life's a little bit easier. And so I'm going to go and bring that back in over here. And we'll go ahead and paste this in. And we'll put sudo in front of it, as it always wants sudo. And it's complaining because there's already a container with that name. I don't care, I'll just call it 2. And so I'm going to go back to my browser, open this up. And now it's complaining. So I'm not really liking this. I mean, like, there's probably more to it to get it to run as a container, like to read about it, but I just want this to work. So I'm going to take the easier route here, and we're going to just do pip install Open WebUI. Like this. And it's now saying there's no matching distributions. You sure? And probably because right now, I'm not sure, like, what Python version are we using? Python -- version. This one's 3.12. So that should work. Open your terminal and do pip install Open WebUI. Okay, so I'm just thinking about this for a second. Okay, what we can do is we can go here and we'll just take a closer look at what's going on with this. So we got this. We have this. We have the name, which is fine. We have restart, which is fine. So, you know, run in daemon mode. Use host gateway. It's mounting the volume over here. It's using the name there. I'm not sure why it cares if the name is the same. Because we do sudo docker images. That should be fine. Sudo docker ps. There's no container running. So if I copy this again and I paste it in again, okay, we'll hit enter. The container name is already in use by container. You had to remove or rename the container to be able to use that container. I just want to use the container based on its name. Okay, we'll try this. Hit enter. There we go. Okay, we'll open it up. And it doesn't tell me why we're getting external error now. Now, oh no, now it's working. Okay, great. So try this again. Andrew at exampro.co. and then the password I had. I'm now logged in. And it just doesn't see Olama. Let's go over to settings. Let's see what we have as our options. We have interface, personalization, audio, account, admin settings, connections. Okay, so here we have the Olama API. And this says manage API connections. So maybe the issue is like where it thinks it is. So I'm going to go over to ChatGPT in another window. Just going to minimize this for a second. And I'm going to go over to ChatGPT. And so I'm going to go here and just say, like, I'm trying to use Web UI to load models from Olama. In the admin section, it shows this. Okay, so I'm not sure how it would know where my existing Olama install is. Okay. Again, terrible at networking. But I'm not sure if that's the default port, like 11434 is where Olama runs. Olama default port. Because maybe that's what it is. It is 11434. By default, services running in Docker can't directly access localhost in your machine. Okay, so host Docker internal to the host's IP address so the container can route traffic back to the host system. Okay, that makes sense. And then if it was running, it'd be on port 11434. So that makes sense. Many web UIs of Docker configuration for LM's frontends include a default connection string. Verifying that Olama is actually running on port 11434. That's probably a good indicator of something that we'd want to check. So let's go back over to our remote desktop here. And I'm going to go back over to VS Code. And I'm going to run this here. And it says unknown port. So if I type in Olama here, because it should be running right now. Unless we told it to stop right now. Yeah, I don't think, maybe it's not, oh, it is right here. So I'm just going to hit quit, bye. And so I'm going to type in Olama serve. Okay, and so it says this port's already in use. Now I wonder if this is an issue with this one. So I'm going to quit this one here. Let me try this again. Okay, so it still says it's in use. So I'm going to type in Olama. Olama stop. Olama serve. Olama serve. I mean, if it's served, that's fine. So it already says it's in port 11434. So clearly is already running. Olama. Serve, create a model, run a model, pull a model, list a model. Okay, so clearly Olama is currently running. It's already running on port 11434. It's not running on this computer, so there's no way that it's being taken up from there. Okay. So if we go back over to our browser, connections. I wish you could test the connection here. That'd make it a lot easier. Trouble accessing here. Let's click this one. So if you're experiencing connection issues, it's often due to WebUI Docker container not being able to reach the Olama server. Use the network host flag in your Docker command to resolve this. Note that that the port changes from port 30 to 8080, resulting in the link. Okay, so I mean, like it told us what to do, and we did exactly that. But it's telling us now to use this command instead, which is fine. So I'll do Docker ps Docker. I really don't like the way I've installed Docker. I can see if I can say sudo snap uninstall Docker. Can I do that? How to remove things installed with Snap. Sudo snap remove Docker. So first it has to stop the service, which is fine. How to stop Docker? I'm not even sure. Ubuntu? It's not usually the way that I use it, eh? So usually just like maybe sudo systems STL seems like that would be one way of stopping it. Let's go back over here. Did it already stop it? No. Let's try stopping it this way. Yeah, see, I don't know. From maybe one reason it can't stop is because it's running something. So let's say sudo docker ps. Sudo docker yeah, ps. Yeah, okay, so now it's saying it's not running anymore, which is great. So I'm going to just wait a moment. I'm going to try to uninstall this, okay? All right, so I've removed Docker using sudo snap because that I, again, greatly regret that. I know I've installed this prior, but I'm going to go ahead and, like I have installation instructions somewhere, but I'm going to go just look up Docker Ubuntu because the instructions that are right on the Docker website work a lot better, I find. And so I just have this pulled off screen here, but I'm just grabbing from here wherever it is, the installation instructions. It looks like this. Before you install Docker, you need to set up the Docker app repository. Yeah, so I'll run through all this. I don't want to do a sudo update right now, but I'll see if I can get away with doing that without a sudo update. Usually you have to do it. So that could take some time, and well, it does a sudo app get update on both ends of it, so we're doing one either way, I guess. And so we'll go ahead and do that. A little bit aggressive on both sides, but that's fine. And then once that's done, yeah, we'll grab all of this. Okay, and I'll run that. It'll be yes. And then here, notice they have like the sudo docker run hello world, which I really don't like having to do the sudo, which we'll fix in 2 seconds. And so we'll paste this in here. It's going to pull the image. That's going to run. I'm going to look for sudoless docker, as there was that command that I know that we can use here. Oh, I guess we could have added the group earlier. Maybe that was the problem. But I think that it would have probably installed if we installed it this way. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. Yeah, so it created the new group and added it. And so now I want to do docker run hello world. And we'll just hit up here for a second. Oh, sudo docker, docker run hello world. Let's try that again. You sure about that, Docker? Okay, maybe it's not aware of the new context of it, so we'll go ahead and do that. Docker, there we go. So Docker run hello world. And so now, oh, it's not running. Sudo system ctl start Docker, maybe? Docker run hello world. Sudo docker run hello world. Oh, okay. 1 second. This is frustrating. This is just annoying. We'll fix this here. Let's go ask ChatGPT. Works with sudo. How do I... Oh, wait, it's saying right here, connection permission denied. Okay, so we still have a permissions issue. There might be something else. I've solved this in the GenAI Training Days workshop because this is something that was really annoying me, having to do sudo. So maybe in here I have the code. So if we go over to here, maybe not that one, maybe this one. So we have these 3 lines. I'm going to just run all 3 of them. I think the new group has to be like this last one has to run, or it's not going to take effect. This one right here. Obviously, the group already exists. Now let's look for Docker. Okay, now we have it. Docker run hello world. And now it ran the hello world. So now we are in a sane world where we can work with this in a much easier way. So I want to go back over to here, as they said that if we're having issues, we want to run this one in particular. And before I run it, I'm going to bring it up over into here. Okay, and we'll bring this one down. We'll bring this one down because I want to see what's going on here. Yeah, and so I mean, this kind of makes sense. Like now, instead of doing that internal IP, we're just doing this explicitly. We're not mapping it. We're just saying host. It's going to run 3000. I kind of think this one looks a lot better, to be honest. And so it's going to pull that image, which is fine. I thought it already had that image. Maybe the path is slightly different, so it thinks that it's something else. But yeah, we'll pull that down, and maybe it will be able to detect Olama this way. All right, so it's pulled this container. I'm assuming that it's running, and it says that it should be running on port 3000, I believe. So let's take a look here and see if we have some better results here. Okay, sometimes it throws that error even when there's not a problem, so we'll try this one more time. Okay. Let's do Docker PS here. And let's see if we can get into this. I don't remember the command off the top of my head, but if we had the Docker extension, this will make our lives a lot easier working with Docker containers. So go ahead and grab this. All right, so I have that Docker container installed, and we're gonna give this a refresh here. Permission denied, trying to connect to the Docker container socket. Oh, come on. What a pain. What an absolute pain. You know, this in theory could be really good if we can just get it to work. Docker failed to connect. Settings. I mean, I installed it the most manual way I could install it. Okay, well, Docker permissions, Docker extension, permissions, VS Code. Maybe there's like, maybe I can add the VS Code thing to the thing or something. Sudo group add Docker. We did that, and we did that. Okay, so maybe what I'll do, because maybe it's not aware, we'll close that completely out. We'll open up VS Code again. Sorry. And we'll go back over to Docker once it loads. Maybe it's already loaded. And now we can see it. Okay, great. So all we had to do was restart that. So that was not too bad. And so what I'm going to do is right-click this, and we can view the logs. And so this isn't showing any errors. It looks like it's running. It says port 8080. So I wonder if maybe it's actually running on port 8080, but I'm pretty sure it said it was running on port 3000. But let's try port 8080. Okay, so it's actually on port 8080. I could have swore it said this changes the port from 3080. Okay, that's totally fine. I'm fine with that. And so I have to create an account for the first time because I guess it's storing these locally, these accounts. So it's just whatever you want them to be. And I'm just going to put a simple password in here. And we'll go, okay, let's go. There we go. Nice. And so I don't think I'm running it. It's just that it's pulled. So we'll say, can you produce me a simple example of pandas? Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that. There we go. That's nice. Now, of course, this isn't super fast. It's fast enough, but it is a 7 billion parameter model. And it's quite impressive that I'm doing this locally. And so I now have a local UI, which is really nice. So I could see like if you had a bit more GPUs under here, I could see it replacing like the smaller models like Mini and things like that. Not that you ever seem to run out of uses for those, but I guess if you were doing a large batch job, you could do it locally, and that would be very cool. So yeah, I mean, that's all I really wanted to show, but you saw there was a lot of struggle through Docker containers and things like that. And so it just shows you that it's not all about just working with GenAI. You still have to know all the tooling around it. But anyway, that's done. So I'm going to stop this here. And I guess over here, we'll do Docker PS. And I'm just going to go ahead and kill this. So say Docker kill, etc. The only thing I wonder is like if it's storing the state in here, then I'm losing those accounts every time. Maybe there's a way to persist it, and so there probably is a way to connect a store. But yeah, I could see if you have decent compute within your network, then everybody could utilize it, and I like that. So anyway, there you go. That's WebUI.